The screen glows in a dark room. Millions of people scroll through apps without realizing the ground beneath them is shifting. In 2023, McKinsey company estimated generative AI could add $2.60 to $4.40 trillion annually to the global economy. That number is larger than the GDP of most countries. But here's what matters: much of that value doesn't come from new apps. It comes from automation replacing interaction. The interface isn't evolving, it's disappearing. And most users don't see it coming. By 2024, the average smartphone user had over 80 installed apps, according to data from data.ai. Yet most people use fewer than 10 daily. Attention is fractured. Cognitive load is constant. Every task demands navigation, log in, search, compare, click, confirm. The app economy trained us to operate software manually. AI agents eliminate that friction. Instead of switching between 5 apps to plan a trip, one instruction can execute everything. When friction drops, behavior changes. In a 2023 study by Stanford University and MIT, workers using generative AI completed tasks 14% faster, with lower-skilled workers seeing gains up to 35%. That's not marginal improvement. That's structural acceleration. If AI can draft, analyze, summarize, and execute actions, then the need to open specialized software decreases. When agents can complete workflows across tools, the tools themselves become invisible layers. According to Gartner, global AI software revenue is projected to exceed $297 billion by 2027. Meanwhile, traditional enterprise software growth is slowing. Corporations are reallocating budgets toward automation layers, copilots, and AI-driven systems. This signals something deeper. Businesses are not just adding AI features to apps. They are building agents that operate across systems. Software is no longer a destination. It is infrastructure. OpenAI's platform Signal. In 2023, OpenAI reported over 100 million weekly active users on ChatGPT within a year of launch. That velocity outpaced nearly every consumer platform in history. But the real shift wasn't chat. It was API adoption. Thousands of companies began embedding AI agents directly into workflows. Instead of building new apps, startups began building orchestration layers. The AI wasn't inside the app. The app was inside the AI. Google's quiet integration. When Google introduced AI into Workspace, it didn't launch a separate app. It embedded intelligence directly into Docs, Gmail, and Sheets. The model writes, summarizes, schedules. Users don't navigate more. They instruct. This matters. Because when intelligence becomes ambient, interfaces become secondary. The more software adapts to language, the less users adapt to software. The Microsoft bet. Microsoft invested over $10 billion into OpenAI and integrated Copilot across Windows and Office. According to company filings, Copilot users in enterprises reported productivity improvements ranging from 20 to 40% in task completion speed during internal trials. That scale of improvement changes budget decisions. When one AI layer improves every application at once, why maintain separate tools for every microtask? Developers are changing behavior. In 2024, GitHub reported that over 50% of developers were using AI coding assistants regularly. GitHub Copilot suggested nearly 50% developers no longer open the documentation tabs constantly. They instructed each component inside the workflow. When the workflow is agent-driven, standalone tools lose relevance. The attention economy collapsed. That time the factory across dozens of apps by attention. AI agents That's dangerous for advertising-driven platforms. When attention centralizes, power centralizes. If this shift concerns you, subscribe. Because the next phase is bigger. The interface is becoming optional. Historically, computing moved from command line to graphical interfaces to mobile apps. Each shift reduced friction. AI agents represent the next layer, natural language control across systems. According to PwC, AI could contribute $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. Most of that comes from automation and efficiency. When intelligence becomes the control layer, apps become utilities. And utilities don't get attention. They get replaced. The App Store slowdown, the gold rush is fading. In the early 2010s, the Apple App Store exploded with growth, crossing 1 million apps by 2013. But by 2023, downloads plateaued in many mature markets. According to Data.ai, global app download growth slowed to low single digits year over year. Saturation has arrived. When markets saturate, disruption follows. AI agents don't need millions of apps. They need integrations. Users are tired. A 2022 survey by Pew Research Center found that over 64% of adults feel overwhelmed by digital information. Notifications, updates, dashboards, logins. Every app competes for cognitive bandwidth. AI agents reverse the burden. Instead of you navigating complexity, complexity reports to you. When exhaustion becomes mainstream, delegation becomes attractive. Agents aren't a novelty. They are relief. Enterprise cost pressure. In 2023, McKinsey Company reported that companies spend up to 20 to 30% of revenue on operational overhead in some industries. Software subscription stack, CRM, ERP, analytics dashboards, HR platforms. Dozens of SaaS tools. AI agents promise consolidation. One intelligent layer coordinating multiple systems can reduce redundancy. CFOs don't see cool AI. They see cost compression. The API explosion. Behind every modern app sits an API. According to Postman, over 40 million developers use APIs regularly, and API traffic continues rising double digits annually. Agents thrive in API ecosystems. They don't need graphical interfaces, they need endpoints. The more digital infrastructure becomes programmable, the more agents can act independently. Apps were designed for humans. APIs were designed for machines. The rise of multi-step automation. In 2023, tools like Zapier reported millions of automated workflows connecting thousands of apps. That was the preview. Automation used triggers and rigid rules. AI agents introduce reasoning. Instead of if X then Y, they evaluate context, exceptions, ambiguity. The leap from automation to agency is massive. It removes human supervision from repetitive digital coordination. Venture capital is pivoting. According to PitchBook, generative AI startups attracted tens of billions in funding between 2023 and 2024. Investment shifted away from traditional SaaS clones toward AI-native platforms. Venture capital doesn't chase hype without signals. Funding follows expected dominance. When capital reallocates at scale, industry structure eventually follows. The Productivity Multiplier. A 2023 working paper from National Bureau of Economic Research found generative AI assistants improved productivity significantly in customer support environments. Shorter resolution times, higher satisfaction, lower training requirements. If agents can handle frontline operations at scale, many specialized service apps become redundant layers. The interface becomes a dashboard for the agent, not the user. The cloud is the foundation. The shift would be impossible without cloud dominance. Amazon Web Services reported over $80 billion in annual revenue, powering millions of applications globally. Cloud centralization enables scalable AI inference. Agents operate in centralized compute environments. Apps once needed local installation and manual interaction. Now intelligence runs in data centers, orchestrating everything remotely. Search is already changing. Search engines trained us to type keywords. But conversational AI changes behavior. When Google began integrating generative answers into search results, it reduced the need to visit multiple websites. Fewer clicks. Fewer app launches. If one agent synthesizes results instantly, entire layers of browsing behavior shrink. traffic patterns shift. Power consolidates upstream. If this trajectory feels inevitable, subscribe. Because the next shift affects your job direct. The control layer emerges. Every major computing era had a control layer. Operating systems controlled hardware. Browsers controlled the web. Mobile OS controlled apps. AI agents are becoming the next control layer. When Microsoft integrates Copilot into Windows, it's not adding a feature. It's redefining interaction. The system listens, predicts, executes. Apps remain, but as background utilities. The front stage now belongs to the agent. The lights flicker across office towers at night. Inside, algorithms already work overtime. In 2023, Goldman Sachs estimated generative AI could impact up to 300 million full-time jobs globally through automation or task substitution. That doesn't mean instant unemployment. It means task compression. When AI agents absorb administrative, analytical, and coordination tasks, the need for human interface interaction declines. Apps once required operators. Agents reduce operators. Tasks, not jobs. A 2023 report from McKinsey company estimated that 60 to 70% of employee activities could be partially automated using current generative AI technologies. Notice the wording activities. Agents don't replace entire professions overnight. They remove slices of responsibility. Scheduling, summarizing, drafting, reporting. Over time, those slices accumulate. When enough tasks disappear, the app built to manage them becomes unnecessary. The white-collar exposure. According to research by International Monetary Fund in 2024, around 40% of global employment is exposed to AI, with advanced economies facing higher exposure rates. White-collar roles, legal, finance, administration, are particularly vulnerable to augmentation. These industries rely heavily on digital workflows. When agents can execute those workflows autonomously, the reliance on multiple enterprise applications weakens. Customer service transformation. In large-scale trials cited by Stanford University, AI assistants improved customer support productivity by 14% overall, and over 30% for less experienced agents. Now imagine the next step: autonomous AI handling full conversations. Major companies are already deploying AI chat systems at scale. When support becomes agent-driven, the CRM interface shifts from human-centered to AI-supervised. Coding without interfaces. Developers once relied on documentation portals, QA forums, and manual debugging. By 2024, GitHub reported that Copilot was contributing to nearly 40% of code in supported environments. Instead of searching through apps and browser tabs, developers issue prompts. The agent writes, suggests, and refactors. The workflow collapses into conversation. The interface is no longer the center. The model is. The knowledge worker multiplier. A 2023 study from MIT showed that generative AI significantly improved performance in writing-intensive tasks, increasing quality scores while reducing completion time. Knowledge work has historically required software navigation, research tools, drafting platforms, analytics dashboards. Agents compress these steps into single instructions. When one system coordinates everything, the need for separate applications declines. The cost of SaaS overload. Enterprises often manage dozens, sometimes hundreds, of SaaS subscriptions. Gartner has repeatedly highlighted rising IT complexity and integration costs as major corporate pain points. Integration layers require maintenance, support teams, security audits. AI agents offer a unifying abstraction layer. Instead of humans integrating tools, agents orchestrate APIs dynamically. Complexity moves from visible interfaces into invisible intelligence. The rise of AI-native startups. Between 2023 and 2024, venture funding poured into AI-native startups building agent-based platforms rather than traditional SaaS dashboards, according to PitchBook data. Investors see a structural shift. New companies are not asking, "What app should we build?" They are asking, "What workflows can we automate entirely?" The business model pivots from subscription interfaces to autonomous execution. Look at everyday workflows. Search once required browsing pages. Email required sorting, drafting, responding manually. Scheduling now assistants embedded by Google and Microsoft draft advice, summarize threads, and suggest meeting times automatically. Each automation removes micro interactions are what apps are. Remove enough interface but this feels because what's coming is power of information. Every technological revolution in history is power. Early projections from $7 trillion in global GDP by 2030. But the distribution won't be equal. When agents centralize decision-making, data access, and execution, control moves upstream to those who own the models and infrastructure. Apps democratized publishing. Agents may re-centralize control. Concentration of control. The city skyline blurs at night. AI agents are not neutral. According to a 2024 report by McKinsey Company, over 70% of AI investment is concentrated in fewer than 10 global tech firms. These agents orchestrate workflows across apps, emails, search, and coding. Every command you give travels through these centralized platforms. The apps you once controlled are now a layer beneath their intelligence. The interface exists, but not the agency. AI and data monopoly. Your data feeds the agent. According to World Economic Forum, by 2025, corporations controlling AI models will manage an estimated 80% of usable personal and professional data worldwide. Every app you use contributes to that pool. Agents optimize for decision-making efficiency. Apps lose visibility, influence, and economic leverage. The value of interfaces diminishes when the intelligence behind them dictates outcomes. Open source pushback. Not everyone accepts centralized control. According to Linux Foundation, open source AI adoption grew by over 250% from 2022 to 2024. Communities are building agents you can deploy locally or with privacy control. This threatens the dominance of big corporations. When agents are open, they don't serve the platform, they serve the user. Interfaces may still exist, but autonomy returns. The war is no longer about apps, it's about agency. Developer economy shift. Developers follow opportunity. In 2023, Stack Overflow reported that 57% of professional developers now prioritize AI-first projects. Code bases are integrated into multi-agent workflows. The old app paradigm, build, ship, maintain, is losing appeal. Agents abstract functionality. Users don't care about which app executes the task, they care that it's done efficiently. Interfaces fade behind intelligence layers. The education gap. AI agents create knowledge asymmetry. According to OECD, countries investing heavily in AI training will see productivity increases up to 30% faster than peers by 2030. Citizens with skills to instruct agents will outcompete those bound to manual app interfaces. The digital divide evolves. Apps alone cannot bridge it. Agency becomes the currency. Those without agents are invisible in the new economy. Automation meets creativity. AI agents don't just handle repetitive tasks. Research from Stanford University in 2023 demonstrated that generative AI could produce novel designs, draft reports, and even suggest strategic decisions. The interface is secondary. The app is irrelevant. Creativity is mediated through the agent. For users, the experience is seamless. One instruction can produce outputs spanning multiple applications. Apps become tools, not endpoints. Legal and regulatory friction. The law lags behind technology. According to AI governance while some encourage open source agents, others restrict them. Apps still operate under legacy rules, but agents transcend. They centralize decisions and workflows. Regulatory authority accelerated adoption of agents and consolidating influence where These agents operate across CRM, ERP, communication, and analytics platforms. Employees no longer interact with separate apps daily. The agent handles the orchestration. Efficiency gains, reduced cognitive load, and lower friction are reported universally. Apps survive, but invisibly. Enterprise AI adoption. In 2024, a survey by Gartner found 62% of large enterprises had active AI pilots coordinating multiple business processes. These agents operate across CRM, ERP, communication, and analytics platforms. Employees no longer interact with separate apps daily. The agent handles the orchestration. Efficiency gains, reduced cognitive load, and lower friction are reported universally. Apps survive, but invisibly. The human factor. AI agents are powerful, but humans still decide adoption, priorities, and deployment. According to MIT research in 2023, organizations integrating human feedback loops saw 30 to 50% higher AI performance. The human-in-the-loop model amplifies efficiency while preserving judgment. But the interface users once controlled becomes redundant. Users now instruct, observe, and delegate. Apps fade. Agents act. The decline of manual search. The ritual was familiar: open a browser, type keywords, scan links. But behavior is shifting. In 2024, industry analysts reported that conversational AI tools were handling millions of complex queries daily, reducing multi-click browsing sessions. When Google began integrating AI-generated answers directly into search results, it shortened user journeys dramatically. Fewer clicks mean fewer site visits. Apps that depended on traffic now compete with synthesized ants. The end of app loyalty. App ecosystems once relied on loyalty loops, notifications, streaks, gamification. But according to data from data.ai, user retention rates for many non-essential apps declined sharply after 30 days. AI agents disrupt retention entirely. If a user interacts through a central intelligence layer, brand identity fades. The agent chooses the service, not the human. Loyalty shifts from app to assistant. That changes everything. The workplace dashboard disappears. Corporate offices once revolved around dashboards, sales metrics, CRM panels, analytics interfaces. In 2024, Gartner reported rapid enterprise experimentation with AI systems that generate summaries instead of static reports. Instead of opening 5 dashboards, executives ask one question. The agent synthesizes insights from multiple systems. Visibility moves from interface navigation to conversational intelligence. The consumer decision engine. Advertising drove the app economy. According to Statista, global digital ad spending surpassed $600 billion annually by 2023. Apps fight for impressions. But AI agents don't browse ads, they evaluate options based on data. If agents recommend purchases, comparison shopping apps lose influence. Decision-making becomes algorithmic. Influence migrates from user interface persuasion to back-end optimization. The subscription collapse risk. The SaaS model thrives on monthly subscriptions. Yet reports from McKinsey company highlight rising subscription fatigue among consumers and enterprises alike. AI agents consolidate tasks that once required multiple paid tools. When one agent integrates writing, scheduling, analytics, and coordination, overlapping subscriptions become redundant. The market won't sustain duplication forever. Education reinvented. Students once navigated learning platforms, productivity apps, research databases. In 2023, studies from Stanford University demonstrated AI tutoring systems improving comprehension speed and retention. Agents guide, summarize, quiz, adapt. The learning app becomes secondary. The intelligence layer personalizes education in real time. Instead of navigating modules, students converse with systems that adjust dynamically. Healthcare without interfaces. Healthcare systems are layered with portals, forms, and scheduling apps. According to projections cited by PwC, AI-driven healthcare efficiencies could save billions annually through automation. Agents triage symptoms, coordinate appointments, synthesize patient history. The portal becomes a gateway, not a workspace. Patients instruct. Systems act. Interfaces shrink to access points. The developer's dilemma: developers built the app economy. But in 2024, surveys from Stack Overflow indicated a majority of developers regularly use AI coding assistants. When code generation becomes conversational, building full-scale standalone apps may not be the primary objective. Developers now build tools for agents, not just users. APIs matter more than UI. Infrastructure outweighs design. Control versus convenience. AI agents promise convenience, but control centralizes. According to 2024 global economic forecasts from International Monetary Fund, nations investing aggressively in AI infrastructure may see disproportionate gains in productivity and GDP growth. Control over intelligent systems becomes geopolitical leverage. Apps once democratized participation. Agents may consolidate it. If you want to understand how this ends, subscribe now. Because the final phase isn't about apps. The invisible layer: look at your phone. The icons are still there. The app's still open. But beneath them, a new layer is forming. APIs connect silently. Models process context. Agents interpret intent. According to projections from PwC estimating $15.7 trillion in AI-driven economic impact by 2030, this isn't incremental change. It's structural transformation. Apps won't vanish overnight. They will fade into infrastructure. The invisible layer: look at your phone. The icons are still there. The app's still open. But beneath them, a new layer is forming. APIs connect silently. Models process context. Agents interpret intent. According to projections from PwC estimating $15.7 trillion in AI-driven economic impact by 2030, this isn't incremental change. It's structural transformation. Apps won't vanish overnight. They will fade into infrastructure. The interface becomes infrastructure. In every computing revolution, the visible layer eventually becomes background infrastructure. Operating systems faded behind mobile apps. Browsers faded behind platforms. Now apps face the same fate. According to projections from Gartner, by the late 2020s a majority of enterprise workflows will include AI-driven decision layers. When intelligence coordinates across systems, the visible interface becomes optional. What remains is orchestration. From clicks to commands, for decades, human-computer interaction relied on clicking icons and navigating menus. But conversational interfaces are scaling fast. Microsoft integrated Copilot across Windows and Office, signaling that the operating system itself is becoming agent-assisted. The shift is profound. Instead of opening 5 programs, users issue one instruction. When commands replace navigation, app boundaries blur. The economic gravity pulls toward efficiency. McKinsey company estimates generative AI could automate up to 70% of tasks in some occupations. Automation reduces cost per task. Lower cost increases adoption. Adoption reshapes infrastructure. Apps that depend on repeated manual engagement struggle in a system optimized for automated execution. The economics favor agents. The cloud brain: AI agents require centralized compute. Amazon Web Services generates tens of billions annually, providing cloud infrastructure that powers large-scale AI deployment. Intelligence no longer resides in individual devices alone, it lives in distributed data centers. Apps once required users to manage tasks locally. Agents leverage global compute networks to act instantly across services. Human attention reclaimed. According to Statista, global users spend more than 4 hours daily on mobile devices. AI agents promise to compress that time by automating repetitive digital behavior. Fewer clicks. Fewer comparisons. Fewer dashboards. If agents truly reduce digital friction, the app economy, built on engagement metrics, faces structural disruption. Less time inside apps means less monetization through traditional models. The open question of trust becomes the final barrier. Research from Pew Research Center shows significant public concern about AI decision-making autonomy. People want efficiency, but they fear loss of control. Apps feel transparent, you see where you click. Agents operate abstractly. The interface disappears, but so does visibility. The future depends not only on capability, but on trust architecture. Governments step in, policy shapes markets. By 2024, over 50 countries were drafting or implementing AI regulatory frameworks, according to the OECD. Regulation will determine how autonomous agents operate, what data they access, and who controls them. Apps function within clear boundaries. Agents challenge those boundaries. Governance will decide how agents empower citizens and corporations. The workforce redefined. The International Monetary Fund estimates AI exposure to affect 40% of global employment. But exposure doesn't equal elimination. It means transformation. Workers who adopt agents in leadership, instruct rather than repetitive digital tasks, gain leverage. Those who rely solely on manual workflows gain traditional tasks from discovery. This shift is navigation. Digital literacy means knowing how to use software. In the agent era, literacy means knowing how to instruct intelligence. Reports from World Economic Forum emphasize AI fluency as a critical workforce skill for the next decade. The most valuable professionals will not be those who master dozens of apps, but those who command agents effectively. Power migrates upward, to those who understand orchestration. If this future matters to you, subscribe now. Because staying ahead of this shift. The screen is still there. The icons still glow. But beneath them, something fundamental has changed. Apps once defined the digital era. Now they are components inside larger intelligent systems. With projections like PwC estimating $15.7 trillion in AI-driven global impact by 2030, the trajectory is clear. The question is no longer whether AI agents will reshape software. The question is whether we will shape them. The interface fades. The agent remains,